Good morning. My name is Charlene O'Reilly. I'm working on the business continuity team, and I'd like to welcome you to the webinar for the Attractions and Activity Tourism Operators Business Continuity Scheme 2022. During this session, we will provide you with details of the eligibility, the qualifying criteria, fundraising, and finally, the application processes, followed by a question and answers section. And for this, we'll be joined by my colleague, Jessica McKillop, Manager in the Business Continuity team. I will now hand you over to my colleague, Amy Graham, who will take you through the next part of the webinar.
Thank you, Charlene, and good morning, everyone. My name is Amy Graham, and I am an officer with the Business Continuity team here in Fáilte, Ireland. And this morning, I will give you an overview of the scheme and go through the eligibility, criteria, funding award amount, and the application process. So we'd like you to pay particular attention to the application process, and we hope this webinar will prepare you as best as possible. So please take a notepad and pen with you if you have it to hand. As you may know, Minister Catherine Martin secured funding for the Strategic Tourism Business Continuity Programme to help support strategic tourism businesses such as yourselves to operate and survive throughout the pandemic. And today we will discuss the Attractions and Activity Tourism Operators Business Continuity Scheme for 2022. As you all know, the visitors, attractions and activity businesses are one of the primary drivers when it comes to attracting overseas visitors here in Ireland. And as you'll see from the slide here, the opening dates for this scheme is Tuesday, March the 8th, 2022, and the closing date for this scheme is Tuesday, April 5th, 2022, and we would urge you to start your application form as soon as possible. So firstly, I'm going to talk you through the eligible businesses that can apply. So as you'll see from the slide here, the following businesses are eligible for this scheme: visitor attractions, outdoor tourism activity providers, including boat tour operators, tourism golf courses, tourism destination experience organisers as well. And as with all schemes, total funding will depend on the number of eligible businesses that can successfully apply. And now I will talk you through the qualifying criteria for the scheme. So as you will see from the slide here, the business types for this scheme, which I have mentioned earlier, you must satisfy one of the eligible categories of the Attractions and Activity Tourism Operator Business Scheme for 2022. Your minimum turnover, your eligible tourism turnover must be at least €50,000 in 2019, and your annual eligible turnover must be down 50% when comparing 2021 to 2019. You must also have been in existence or trading since January 1st, 2022, and you must provide an up-to-date tax clearance certificate. And finally, you must intend to continue trading in 2022 in line with government guidelines. I will now talk you through the funding award amount for this scheme. So as you will see on the slide here, the minimum grant award for this scheme is €2,500, and the maximum grant award for the scheme is €800,000. And to give you an example of how this is calculated, if you have an eligible tourism turnover for 2019, which is equal to €200,000, 5% of this will be equal to your grant amount, which would equate to €10,000. I will now give you some tips and practical advice for making your application form. And if you have a notepad and pen to hand, that would be very helpful. So in order to expedite the evaluation process and please make sure that all information provided on your application form is accurate. And here's some helpful tips that we hope will help make this process easier for you. So number one, set aside some uninterrupted time to submit your application form. Number two, Make a checklist of all the information and documents that you require. Number 3, make sure that you're putting the right information in the right place. Number 4, please make sure that you press save at the end of each application page before you move on to the next page. Number 5, please prepare your management accounts for 2021 as soon as possible. And finally, number 6, and we hope this will help, please ask a business partner or a co-worker to check your application form before you submit. This process will help you to expedite the evaluation process, and if you are an eligible business, it will help you to receive a payment as soon as possible. But it's also important to note that previous applicants who did not submit correct information or omitted information experienced delays during the evaluation process. So please take your time and also lean on the guidelines, look at the frequently asked questions, and also rewatch this webinar as it will help you to prepare successfully. So in conclusion, we all realise just how important these funds are for your business, and we hope that this webinar will help you prepare your application form successfully. There are 4 key things to take away from today. And number 1, the schemes are largely based on the same schemes as last year with some tweaks. Number 2, the downturn threshold has been reduced from 75 to help to increase the number of applicants that could be eligible for the scheme. Number 3, when you, the business owner, are making an application for this scheme, please, as I mentioned already, set aside some time, some uninterrupted time to make your application form, and do make a checklist of all the required documents and information. Number 4, please lean on the guidelines and the support notes for assistance. And finally, if you are a new customer to Fáilte Ireland, please log on to www.failteireland.ie where you can open a trade portal account. And if you are experiencing any technical difficult issues during this process, please contact our customer support team at customersupport@failteireland.ie or call 0818 888 And now I will hand you back over to Charlene. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Amy. We will now go through the questions received both via the registration and during the webinar itself. Please note it's not possible to answer any business-specific questions. However, if you do need information relating to your business, you can contact customer support, and we will respond directly there. I will now invite Jessica to join myself and Amy on screen to go through the questions that have come in.
Hi, Charlene. Thanks. Hi, Amy.
Hi, Jess. Welcome.
Hello.
So there's a number of questions that have come in today. Lots there, so we'll kick off if you're happy to. Jessica, you might kick off first, please. So what documents can be accepted as financial statements for the application itself?
Perfect. Thanks, Charlene. So for your actual application, we will need your audited financial statements, or in the case of a sole trader, we'll need your profit and loss accounts for 2019. And then across the board, we will need your management accounts for 2021. So we do need these to be accurate. They do not need to be signed off by an accountant. However, if they are, that's great. I suppose the reason why they need to be accurate is that we'll be using this to, I suppose, work through establishing eligible tourism turnover, and as well from an audit purpose as well. Our schemes will all be audited, so it's important that you take time to ensure that these are accurate.
Absolutely. Okay, Jessica, I think this one for you as well. I operate more than one eligible business. Can I apply for both of my businesses? Is a popular one.
Thanks, Charlene. Yes, you can actually apply for both your businesses. So both applications will be evaluated on their own merit. When it comes to calculating the grant available, the €800,000 cap will apply, and then the overall state aid cap of 2.3 million per entity, which is set by the European Commission under the temporary aid framework. So for the purposes of our schemes, multiple applicants with the same common ownership are considered one economic unit, and therefore a single undertaking for the purposes of state aid rules. So that's the 2.3 million cap for state aid rules, but our schemes have an €800,000 cap.
Okay, perfect. If I received, Jessica, as well to you, please, if I receive funding on previous Fáilte Ireland business continuity funds, am I excluded from this particular scheme?
It will depend. So let's say that you receive funding from the Adaptation Fund in 2020, or you receive funding from a tourism business continuity scheme, such as the Activity and Attraction Scheme towards the end of last year, the Phase 4 scheme that we ran. You may indeed be eligible to apply to this scheme again, provided that you meet the
Great.
eligibility criteria. However, if you've applied to our 2022 schemes of this year, I'm talking specifically about the Strategic Tourism Transport Scheme or the Inbound Agent Scheme of 2022, you may not be eligible to apply to this current scheme then that we're launching next week.
Okay. Amy, we'll come to you, I think. What revenue do I include in my turnover?
So the turnover revenue that you need to include will be related to your tourism business activities, and these must be tourism business activities that are happening within the Republic of Ireland only. So if there are any issues or the evaluation team needs clarification on your revenue, they will reach out to you to provide this information.
Okay, that's perfect. Another one for you, Amy, please, if you could. How long will the application process take from start to payment? I know this is a very popular question at our webinars.
That really depends on the application. So as I mentioned, being best prepared, having your checklist, taking the time, having someone check it over, the more prepared you are, the cleaner the application process and the smoother the evaluation process. So applications can take in the region of anything from 4 to 16 weeks. If you provide all the information, all the correct information, it would be a much shorter process. But obviously, if there is misinformation provided, then your evaluation process will take longer.
Okay, that's pretty clear. And Amy, back to you again. How will the grant be determined and how will the grant itself be paid?
So the grant is paid on 5% of your eligible tourism turnover. So the example that I gave earlier, so if I am a business and I made €200,000 in 2019, 5% of my eligible tourism turnover would equal to €10,000. So that would be the grant amount that I would be awarded.
Okay, Amy, that's perfect. Maybe back to Jessica, if I could. My business does not meet the minimum turnover threshold of 50,000. Am I eligible for any support?
Unfortunately, no. So the minimum level of eligible turnover for all of our tourism business continuity schemes is €50,000.
Okay, yeah. Jessica, again, my business was set up in 2020. Can I apply?
Again, unfortunately, that's a no. As the support is due to the pandemic, we're taking 2019 as the full year pre-pandemic. So you needed to be established that year. Yeah.
Okay. Amy, if you could take this one. Is 2019 turnover relating to the business financial year or the calendar year? Can you clarify on that one?
So the 2019 turnover required is based on the 12-month calendar year, please.
Okay. And if my application is successful, when can I expect the payment of it?
As I mentioned, it depends on how you submit your application form. So the cleaner the application form, the more straightforward the evaluation process. And we unfortunately have had to turn down applications around for payments if they didn't submit correct information. So that makes the evaluation process longer. So the cleaner application form that you provide, the easier it will be if you're an eligible business to receive a payment.
Okay, Amy. Just on to the next question here. There's lots of them coming in here. Jessica, if you are seasonal, only 7 months of the year, does the 50k still apply?
Yes, it does. The eligible tourism turnover must be 50k in 2019, regardless of how many months you're open.
Okay. Okay, hopefully that clarifies that one. What else have we got here? Jessica as well, please. We got CRSS for returning staff. Does this mean we can't qualify for this?
No, it does not. So this scheme is not linked to CRIS,
Okay.
and therefore you may still be eligible, provided that you meet the eligible criteria. What we will ask you to do is to declare what you have received from CRIS, but it will not have any effect on the grant that you may be entitled to receive.
And Amy, if you could just reiterate, when is the scheme opening, please?
So the scheme is opening on Tuesday, March the 8th, 2020, and it closes on Tuesday, the 5th of April, 2022.
Great. Amy, I'm a new contact on the account. Can I still use previously uploaded accounts? It's an important question.
Unfortunately, no, we require all information to be submitted again, regardless if you are a new contact or not.
Okay. All right then. Jessica, we do not intend to reopen until Easter 2022. Do we still qualify?
Yes, you most certainly do, as long as the business, of course, meets the eligibility criteria. You will be asked to declare on your application form that you intend to reopen as part of the process. So when you get to the end of your application form, there'll be a number of declarations that you'll need to confirm and to take, and this will be one of them. So yes, certainly you can indeed apply.
Okay, that's brilliant. Another one, Jessica, please. What would be the cap? What would the cap be for my business as I received a grant in the last business continuity scheme? So the cap, please, Jessica.
Perfect. Thanks, Charlene. So these schemes are not linked, and the cap on this particular scheme is €800,000. So which applies to an applicant or a group. So with regard to previous schemes, the wider state aid cap of 2.3 million will apply, which always has to be adhered to, but the schemes aren't linked. So if you received funding last year, we won't be deducting that from you.
That's good news. And Jessica, please, if a business has not dropped 50% of turnover from 2019 to 2021, is it eligible for any support?
Unfortunately, no. So this is a scheme designed to support those that have suffered the most through the pandemic. And we have already reduced this from 75% to 50% down when comparing 2019 to 2022. So you'll see that, you will have seen that in the presentation that Amy gave today, and it will be outlined in the guidelines when they are published on Tuesday.
Okay, perfect. Okay, we're flying through our questions here. We have a good few more now. Amy, do I need to include state supports received, EWSS, PUP, or previous grants as part of my 2021 turnover?
They do not need to be included in your turnover figure. However, we will ask you to declare them in your application form, please.
Yeah, okay, that will be asked for. Okay, Jessica, I am down about 40% based on those dates. Am I out of the picture?
Yes, as I mentioned earlier, it needs to be 50% when comparing 2019 versus 2021.
Okay. And also, can you confirm the maximum and minimum grant aid and that the 5% of turnover is on the full 12 months turnover, Jessica?
Perfect. Well, absolutely. It's on the 5% is on the full 12 months of turnover. And the minimum grant award in this scheme would be €2,500, and the maximum will be €800,000. And Amy gave, I suppose, an example in her presentation, and we'll have those as well worked up in our FAQs and in the guidelines as well, so that you can see that.
Okay. Amy, maybe you could take this one. Regarding declaration of previous grant aid, is this just grants received since March 2020?
Yes, that is correct. It is aid received due to the COVID-19 pandemic.
Okay. Okay, and then another one in here. Amy, will the slide deck be made available after the call finishes?
The slide deck won't be available, but we are recording this webinar and it will be available on our YouTube page, and it can be accessed through the Fáilte Ireland website as well.
Okay.
And it should be up early next week, Monday or Tuesday.
Absolutely. Okay. What else is in here? Jessica, what are management accounts? Just to clarify that for people so that they're clear on what they're handing in.
No problem, Charlene. So your management accounts are what we would consider your day-to-day budgets or your working accounts of your business. So they're what you use in your business admin, and they'll form the basis of your financial statements.
Sure. Okay. Amy, you might take this one. Will we know if our submission is accepted? Will we receive an acknowledgement email or verification?
Yes, you will see an acknowledgement screen or a message on your screen when you press submit, along then with a follow-up email to acknowledge that your application form has been submitted.
Okay, that's great, Amy. Okay, few more questions here. Does eligible tourism turnover exclude Northern Ireland like previous schemes, Jessica, please?
Yes, it does. It does exclude Northern Ireland, so we can only support tourism activity within the Republic of Ireland. And I think, Amy, you actually made that point in your presentation today as well, or earlier on in the session. So yeah, that is correct.
Okay, I think that clarifies that. Jessica, please, does management accounts need to be completed by an accountant or business administration?
So your management accounts can be completed by your business admin or whoever normally does them for you. They don't need to be signed off on by an accountant before you submit them. If they are, great. But like I said at the beginning as well, I think it was one of the first questions, Charlene, you asked me from one of the attendees, you do need to ensure a level of accuracy as all schemes are subject to audit. So I would take care when compiling them.
Absolutely. Good advice, Jessica. Now, maybe the last 3 questions or 4 questions or so. Amy, if you could take this one. Is the 50% downturn specific to the overall company accounts or the qualifying portion of activity?
So the 50% is based on the qualifying portion of activity.
Okay. And maybe you could take this one too, Amy. We might take one more question after this one. I was a sole trader but changed to a limited company in 2020. I assume I can still apply using sole trader figures. Is that possible?
Yes, that isn't a problem. The evaluators might, however, reach out to you and ask you to clarify some information for them. But as long as you were trading in 2019 and you meet the rest of the eligibility criteria, that isn't a problem.
Okay, that's brilliant. And Amy, finally, maybe our last question. Are we doing on time? Do we apply if we don't have an Fáilte Ireland portal account? How do we apply? Sorry, how do we apply? I read that wrong.
So as I mentioned earlier, if you go to the Fáilte Ireland website, it's very easy to set up a new account. If you go to www.failteireland.ie and register under the trade portal, I had the link up there earlier. It's well signposted at the top of the Fáilte Ireland website. And there's also, as I mentioned, an email address for customer support, which is customersupport@failteireland.ie. And they will help you with any difficulties if you're experiencing opening up a new account. But it's pretty straightforward, and we should have an account set up with you fairly quickly. And then you will be able to access the application form online and to submit it.
Okay, just trying to see if there are any more questions in. Yes, we do. We have actually a few more questions in here. Just bear with me now for 1 second. Yeah, I think this is a good one to ask. When does the evaluation process begin? Jess, could you take that?
No problem, Charlene. So the evaluation process for this particular scheme will begin as soon as we receive applications. So it's a pay-as-you-go scheme. So the way that the scheme works is because it's based on your turnover, that once all of your supporting information is accurate, our evaluators will be working through it, and we will be paying out, hopefully, in the coming weeks as soon as we can process the applications.
Sounds good, Jessica. Another one here that's just come in. When are the guidelines going up on the website?
Yes, so the guidelines will be going up on Tuesday along with our frequently asked questions. We'll be saying Tuesday afternoon is when we plan to put them up on the website.
Okay, that's perfect. Just one that's just come in here. Can I submit 2 sets of accounts if I don't run on a calendar year? you want to take that one, Jessica?
Sure, no problem, Charlene. Yeah, you absolutely can. So we just need to be able to see, I suppose, the full 2019. So if that means bringing in some of 2018 or 2020, absolutely, I suppose, present your information so that we can do the, so that we can compare 2021 versus 2019.
Absolutely. I think now we're repeating ourselves. We're duplicating some stuff here. So I think the question and answers can conclude. I think we can finish up now.
Thanks,
Thank you, Jessica, and thank you, Amy, for your attendance and
Charlene.
your participation on Q&A. Thank you all for your attendance today, everyone. Further information will be available on the website, including a copy of this recording once the scheme launches next Tuesday, the 8th of March. You'll find this at www.fáilteireland.ie and just go to the funding tab and it will be saved there. So thanks everyone for watching.